Alright, yins guys, what's up? As I promised, it's a little overdue, I was gonna read you a little something out of this for the rest of my video series. And as I promised, we're gonna read out of the Apocalypse of Abraham. I read one other time a book in here called The Testament of Abraham, where he met the angel of death. But this one's the Apocalypse of Abraham. We're going to do the first 5 chapters, and I like to remind people this is not Bible thumping. This is a little adventure into some of the texts that a lot of people don't want you to read. And there's humor in this one. I told family members about this too. I don't want to ruin it just yet. This is about Abraham, how he had a little conflict of interest with his father about idols. And there's some stuff that if you're a strictly nothing but the King James Bible type of Christian watching, you might actually have a little chuckle about this, because it's about idols, and it's about how Abraham had this disagreement with his father. And I don't want to ruin it just yet until I read it. You're going to have a little adventures going on about Abraham and some destructed idols in here. And anybody else, whether you don't believe in anything at all, or you had some church stuff in you, you went to church and maybe you read some other things. Like I says, I read the people's Catholic Bible too, and I have a copy of it with all kind of other books in it. And some people watching that are Christian that may have had family members that are Catholic probably have read Baruch, Maccabees, Judith, the woman who chopped off the head of Holofernes and all that. But anyway, not to yammer on too much jibber jabber and yammering. We're going to get straight to it. And I'm going to start right here. A cat's clawing at me right now, wanting to bug me now when I want to start to read. Well, I think that she hears me talking, and she thinks I'm on the phone, so every time I'm on the telephone, she hears me talking and thinks I'm on the telephone, and thinks that, decides that she wants to get attention. But anyway, on with this. I'm going to start reading right here. Heck with the rest of this bibliography right here. Here it starts. The book of Revelation of Abraham, the son of Terah. Well, they're saying Terah, T-H-E-R-I-N, but other books say Terah. I think it's T-E-R-A-H or something like that. The son of Nachor. They're spelling it. We call him Nahor, but this version of it's saying N-A-C-H-O-R, but usually it's Nahor, N-A-H-O-R. But the son of Seruk, the son of Rosh, the son of Arphaxad, however you pronounce it, the son of Sim, the son of No, the son of N-O-E, is also Noah, N-O. You know how Noah is, the guy in the ark, but some people call Noah N-O-E. In a lot of the apocryphal books, even the books of Enoch say Noah, they call him No. I think in 2nd Enoch he's mentioned, but depends what version you got. Oh, anyway, the son of Lamech, the son of Methuselah, the son of Enoch, the son of Arid. Here they're saying Arid, A-R-E-D, but they're calling Jared Arid in here. But okay, alright, so let's get on with it. One day, here's Abraham telling his story. One day I was planning the gods of my father Terah, and the gods of my brother, this other name I don't pronounce, one of his other brothers that, see in 2 it says, okay, Nahor, yeah, but it's, yeah, like I said before, when I was inquiring who is truth, the mighty God is, who the mighty God is, I, Abraham, was doing my duty, devoting myself to the services and sacrifices of my father, Terah, and his gods of wood, stone, gold, silver, brass, and iron. And I went into their temple for the service, and I found the god Maramath by name, who was carved from stone, fallen down at the feet of the god Nachor, who was of iron. So was that... Geez, they name a god after one of Abraham's brothers or something? Yeah. Well, anyway, who was made of iron, and when I saw it, I was distressed. I was sure that I, Abraham, could not put him back in his place by myself, for he was a massive lump of stone and heavy. So I went and told my father, and he came in to help me. And while we were lifting him to put him back in his place, his head fell off of him, and I was still holding him by the head. And when my father saw Meramath's head had fallen off, he said to me, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. And he said to me, Bring me axes and pincers from the house. And I brought them to him from the house. And he carved a second Meramath from a second stone without a head. And he put on it the head that had fallen off of Meramath. But the rest of Meramath he destroyed. And he made 5 other gods. He gave them to me and told me to sell them outside in the city street. And I saddled my father's ass. Yes, I get to say the word ass here too. Anyway, yeah, and I saddled my father's ass and put them on and went out into the highway to sell them. And behold, merchants from Fardana and Syria came with camels on their way to Egypt to trade. And I fell into conversation with them. One of the camels snorted, and the ass took fright. So, in other words, the camel scared his ass. One of the camels snorted, and the ass took fright and ran away and upset the gods. And 3 of them were broken, and only 2 remained whole. And when the Syrians saw I had gods, they said to me, Why did you not tell us that you had gods? We would have bought them before the ass heard the camel snort, and you would not have had the loss. You would not have had this loss. But give us the remaining gods, and we will pay you the proper price for the broken gods as well, for the gods that remain whole, and for the gods that remain whole. For I was also worried how I would make account to my father. In other words, he thought his father would be getting really mad. What? You broke the gods? You were supposed to be bringing money to sell them. Now there's money down the drain. Anyway, before my little commentary, because of my little commentary, I lost my place here. Hold on. Yeah, for I was worried about how I would account to my father. And the 3 broken ones I threw into the water in the river Gur, the river named Gur, capital G-U-R, which was in that place, and they sank to the bottom and were never seen no more. And I went on the way. A number of questions arose in my mind. When I went on my way, a number of questions arose in my mind, which disturbed me. And I thought, Behold, Meramath fell down and could not get up on his own in the temple, nor could I lift him up on my own until my father came. And we both lifted him, and while we were unable to do this, his head fell off of him. And my father put it on another stone of a second god, which he had made without a head. And the other 5 gods, which were smashed, they fell off of my ass, were not able to either save themselves nor to harm the ass, because it had destroyed them. nor did their fragments come up from the river. And I thought, if this be so, how then shall Muramath, my father's god, with a head made from one stone and the body made from another stone, be able to save a man, or hear a man's prayer and reward him? And I pondered this, and thus I came to my father's house, and I watered the ass, and put out hay for it. And I took out the money and gave it to my father Terah's hands. And he saw it, he was glad, and said, Blessed you, Abraham, for my gods, for you have brought the price of the gods, that my labor was not in vain. And I answered and said to him, Listen, Terah, my father, blessed are the gods of you, for you are their God, insomuch that you have created them. So in other words, he's telling his father that, hey, look, he's saying, hey, look, Dad, these are not your gods. It's the other way around. You are their gods because you created them. Technically, you're more, in other words, he's telling Dad that he's more of a god than the stone idols because he created these things. So it's sooner, he's telling his father that it's more possible, more like a higher likelihood that he's a god than them stone idols. Which is kind of funny and cool. And anyway, I almost lost my place again, yeah. Alright, here we are. Yeah, it's like, and I answered and said to him, Listen, blessed are the gods of you, for you are their God, insomuch that you have created them. For their blessing is destruction, and their might is in vain. And since they did not help themselves, how will they help you or bless me? It is I who have done you service in this transaction, for by my astuteness, whatever that word is, I think they mean assertiveness or something, or my ingenuity, or my cleverness or smartness or something. But this other stupid word they put in here, astutenas, they should have put my intelligence, smartness, ingenuity, cleverness, and good business clever business practices. Anyway, for my greatness or whatever, I have secured you the money for the broken gods. I have secured you the money for the broken gods, as well as the others. And when he heard what I said, he was angry with me. In other words, yeah, oops, I must have missed a sentence or lost my place. But yeah, he's telling Dad that he's admitting to Dad that he accidentally broke the gods, or the other merchant's camel scared the heck out of his ass, his donkey. Yeah, the merchant's donkey scared his ass, and they toppled the gods over and broke them, and it says, it's all my fault, they got broke. And the guys gave him the money for everything anyway, and so it's not the blessing of the gods. It's more like he blessed his father, for that. Yeah, for I have done you, sir, and I have secured you the money for the broken gods as well as the others. And when I said this, he was angry with me, because I have spoken despairingly about his gods. But I took note of my father's fury and went out. He called me, saying, Abraham, and I said, Here am I. And he said, Collect the shavings of the wood which I was making gods of pine wood before you came, and take them and make me food for dinner. So he had two duties, take care of that, and then make him some dinner. Okay, I almost lost my place again while I was gabbing. Collect the shavings of the wood from which I was making gods of the pine wood before you came, and Then, after you do that, make me some dinner. And while I was picking up the wood shavings, I found among them a little god lying in the shelter on my left. And on his forehead was written, God Barasat. And I did not tell my father, I have found the wooden god Barasat among the shavings. He didn't tell Dad he found another idol among the shavings, which was also made of wood, which Abraham is now thinking that God is no more worth anything than them shavings. Okay, and when I put the shavings on the fire to make food for my father, before I went away to ask about the food, I stood Barasat by the fire and I had made. And I gave him instructions and said, Barasat, look after the fire until I come back, so that it does not go out. And if it's going out, blow on it so it burns up. And I went away and did what I had intended. And when I came back, I found Barasat lying prostrate, his feet well into the fire and terribly burnt. And I burst into laughter and said to myself, Barasat, you can indeed make a fire and cook food. And as I was saying this in my mockery, he was gradually burnt up by the fire and reduced to ashes. And I took the food to my father, and he ate it. And I gave him wine and milk, and he drank it and was satisfied. And he blessed his god Meramath. And I said to him, Father, Terah, do not bless your god Meramath, and do not praise him. Praise rather your god Barasat, for he, out of love for you, threw himself into the fire to cook your food. And he said to me, Where is he now? And I said, He has been reduced to ashes by the fury of the fire and become dust. And he said, Great is the might of Barasat. I will make another today, and tomorrow he shall make my food. And he shall cook my food. And then I, Abraham, heard words like this from my father. I laughed in my mind, yet groaned in grief and anger in my soul. And I said, How can my father be served by what has been made by him, by idols, with his own hands? Will he subject his body, his soul, and then the soul of his spiritual spirit to folly and ignorance? And I said, It is only right to suffer evil once, and I will set my mind on what is pure, and I will tell him plainly what I think. And I answered and said, Father, Terah, whichever of these gods you praise, you are deluded in your mind. Whatever of these idols you praise, you are deluded in your mind. See the gods of your brother Nahor, which stands in the holy temple, and more honorable than yours. See too Zuk, your brother Aaron's god, for more honorable than Meramath your god, for he is made out of gold, which is highly prized by men, and he ages with the years. He can be remade, but Meramath, he is smashed or broken, cannot be restored, because he is of stone. And it is the same god Avon, who stands along Zuk. Barasat himself is burned up in the fire, and is reduced to ashes, and is no more. And yet you say today that I will make another, and tomorrow he shall make my food. He perishes utterly. Fire, I say, is more honorable than image. Let me say that again. Let me read that again. Fire, I say, is more honorable than images, for even things that are otherwise unsubdued are subdued by it, and it mocks what perishes. It mocks what perishes so easily in its flames. But more honorable still are the waters, for they overcome the fire and satisfy the earth. But neither of them would I call God, for they are subdued and are inferior to the earth. But I call the earth more honorable still, since it overcomes the substance and abundance of waters. but I would not call it God, since it is dried up by the sun and is made for the use of man. I would call the sun more worthy of worship than the earth, for its rays it illuminates the universe and several airs. But I, nor again would I call the moon and stars God, for they too in their reason are darkened in the light and at night. Listen, Terah, my father, I will examine with you the question, who is God? Who is he? Who has made the heavens purple? Who made the sun gold? And who set light in the moon and the stars with her? Who is he who has made the dry land in which many waters, and has given you the power of speech? Let God himself appear to us. And when I was talking in this way, my father Terah, in the courtyard of the house, the voice of the Mighty One fell on me from the deluge of fire, calling out, Abraham, Abraham. And I said, Here am I. The voice said, You are seeking God the Creator, and my understanding of your mind am He. Leave your father Terah, and leave his house, so that you do not perish also in the sins of your father's house. And I went out, and when I was gone out, before I could reach the outer door of the court, a thunderbolt dropped from the sky, and it burned him, his house, and all that is in the house to the ground, all 40 cubits of it. Alright, yins guys, there you have it. I'm going to end it right there, because it's just like I promised. I wanted to read yins guys this one. I think I promised you after I did the other video about Abraham meeting the angel of death that I was going to eventually get to this one, because there was humor in it about idols. And it's something that no matter who you are watching, something that's, you can see the humor in it. You can see the humor in it too. You can see humor in it, you know, a little bit of funny stuff there about the Abraham's little conversation with his father, questioning the validity, the validness of questioning the legitimacy of the belief in idols, because idols are just inanimate objects. You can destroy them and burn them, and they won't resist, they won't fight back, and if you broke them on purpose, they will not retaliate against you, because they're inanimate objects, they're carved, not really gods at all. That's what Abraham was trying to say. And yeah, I particularly, I told other people too, family members, that my favorite part was about when Abraham burned up Beresat and says, and then when he told his father, you know, after he enjoyed his food, his father said, "Oh, great, that's really cool. I'll make another item and he'll cook my food for me tomorrow too." But I think when I told other people, I told them it was Merrimath, and when I was reading it right now, they said it was Beresat. So anyway, that's it for now. That's it for this video right here. Hope you saw some humor in that. I don't know, I might read something else out of one of these, I don't know, but I think that's everything that I wanted to actually, in this video series, that I actually wanted to say, but I don't know if I'm going to continue it or not unless I do more about the books of Enoch, you know. I'm not sure. Like I says, this ain't like Bible thumping. This is a little adventure into some of the books that people don't want you to read or nobody reads, you know. Small little adventure. But anyway, that's it for this video. See you next time. Check out some of my other videos on some other topics. Check out the music in my channel, different kinds for different reasons. the exercise videos I have, and all my other stuff. But anyway, that's it. See you next time.